Dave Savitt from BuyLighters.com here. Today I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot a lighter. The first thing I want to show you is a traditional flint lighter. Zippo is one of the most popular brands. And to troubleshoot a flint lighter, what you want to do is first you want to inspect the flint wheel. When you flick it, you should get a nice spark like you see here. The easiest thing to do is you'll feel some resistance when you try to use the wheel. If there is no resistance or you're not getting that flint spark, then you're going to need to replace the flint. And that's very easy. If you just take the casing out, there's a screw right here. When you undo this screw, you can put a new piece of flint inside of your lighter. The second thing you want to look at for a flint-based lighter is the wick. And it's probably hard to see in this video, but you want to make sure that your wick is out far enough and that the edges are nice and clean. It's not out too far and it's not in too much. And you can adjust that also when you undo this screw. You can pull the wick. When you pull all this batting away, you can actually pull the wick out, and that'll allow you to adjust the length. So that's going to be pretty important. You want to make sure that it's clean. Does it look like there's any residue inside? If there is, you can simply just take a Q-tip, you can put some rubbing alcohol on it, and you can just gently swab the inside of your lighter to make sure that there's no debris in there. You could also use some compressed air and just spray it in there, make sure that you don't have any loose debris in there. And of course, probably the most important part is, do you have fuel in your lighter? On a wick-based lighter, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to tell because it absorbs into the interior. But if you give it a smell, it should have a pretty distinct odor. Also, the padding should be a little wet, and if you're not sure, you could always add a little bit more fuel in there. Give it a few minutes for it to wick up into the wick, and then try your lighter again. Those simple tips should keep your flint-based lighter working perfectly for years. If you have a butane lighter, these are pretty easy to troubleshoot as well. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you're getting a spark when you push the igniter down. Sometimes it can be hard to see, but all these piezoelectric igniters will produce a small spark. So if you're not getting a spark, that's probably your first problem and the one you'd have to diagnose and fix first. You want to make sure that these burner jets in here are also clean. Again, you can use a Q-tip with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and you just want to gently swab here to get any carbon buildup. That's also a good chance for you to clean off the igniter, which might have been clogged. You can use some compressed air to blow out any loose debris inside of the lighter as well. On the back of a butane lighter, on the underneath of a butane lighter, is the port where you insert the lighter fluid. You want to make sure that the dial on that is turned either somewhere in the middle or a little bit more than all the way off and a little bit less than full on. That's a good way to determine if there's fuel coming out of the lighter. When you push this button down, you should hear fuel. This one happens to be empty, but on this one you can actually hear that fuel coming out. So you know that there's fuel in here. When I push it, it should start lighting. So you can take a small screwdriver or maybe even a paper clip, and you can turn this dial up or down to get to the right setting to ensure that there's enough fuel coming out. If there's too much fuel coming out, the igniter can't actually even ignite the fuel that is coming out of it. You also can purge some of the air that's inside of these lighters. If you take something like a ballpoint pen, and if you just push on the nozzle, if you hear that, that's fuel coming out. You want to make sure you purge your lighter so there's no air inside of it. It's always good to do that before you refill your lighter. You want to completely purge all air and fuel out of the lighter and then refill it. Keep in mind with a butane lighter, when you refill it, you're going to want to make sure that you wait several minutes before you even try to light it the first time. The fuel is a gas and it's extremely cold, and you want it to come up to room temperature before you even try to use the lighter, or it's not going to ignite at all. So once you get it all working, you should get a nice solid flame from your butane lighter. So hopefully these tips have been able to help you keep your lighters working in tip-top shape for many years to come. This is Dave from BuyLighters.com.